PRASA from the Rail Safety Regulator. Thank you for joining me for this coffee with the editor. Exciting times with your act that is on the President's desk at the moment.
Our new act has gone through the Houses of Parliament. It's been submitted to the President. He is now considering it with his team, and we expect the President in due course to sign it into law. That act has a few changes in it. It realigns our governance structures, introduces an appeal tribunal, realigns some of the powers and functions of the CEO and the board. And then on the operational side, it goes a lot further and introduces what we call accreditation of training institutions and certification of safety critical grades. That is a new function that is currently being rolled out by other players in the market. Viewers would know Transnet has a school of rail, Traction has its own school. They're accredited through the TITAs, through the qualifications authorities. And now that body of work overlaps with powers and functions of the RSR, and I'm looking forward to that. It strengthens our other regulatory instruments and our powers and functions. So we're looking forward to our new act.
So taking that act and the changes that are coming through once it's all signed, how is that going to impact, or is there an impact to the players that are going to be participating in open access?
It strengthens the RSR as an institution, and you need a strong railway safety regulator to play its role in overseeing safe railway operations. It adds a few functions to the railway safety regulator. But when we talk open access itself, that falls within the current tool set that we have. Transnet is undergoing its reforms. It's published the network statement. Industry has commented. The interim rail economic regulatory capacity has now reviewed the network statement. Through the minister, they will make some determination on that. The final network statement will be put out. And then when the applications for slots come to life, the Railway Safety Regulator is positioned to then consider permit applications from prospective applicants. If they bring in new rolling stock, we would then do it under our new works regime, which we call a technology review. And our teams are ready. We've also positioned ourselves for shorter turnaround times on application to the safety regulator. But generally, we are together with our Transnet counterparts. They understand the role of the regulator. It's correctly articulated in the network statement, and I think we're ready to go.
All right, because we're ready to go as soon as October, if I understand correctly.
Yes, as per the roadmap, but as we all know, the devil is in the detail. I'm very interested to know what answer IREC will come with on the tariff methodology. It might be that we have one answer that we'll have many iterations of. Even the slot process itself, there may be open applications, but we may have many iterations of the process. But I think in the main, later this year, we should be ready to start, and we see where it takes us.
Right, so how does this now all come together? I mean, recently we've had a number of incidents on the network, from level crossing to a couple of fairly serious derailments. Like, where does the role come in now with the RSR and the fact that we're going to have more players?
So in our normal work, yes, we have occurrences. There are 5 priority areas for the RSR, like you correctly say. It's around level crossings, it's collisions on the main line, it's derailments, it's people struck by trains, it's platform train interfaces. So we continue to track those main categories, but when you put them in the context of open access, the one area, 2 areas that worry us, 3 actually, as the regulator. ICASA has passed regulations around spectrum and migrating from the current frequency into a new frequency, which requires operators to migrate their telecommunication systems, their radio frequencies. That is an area where the new operators would have to come on board with Transnet and the other parties they interoperate with. Security. So Transnet operates alone mainly on the main line through its extensive network. If you were to add a new operator, there are certain dynamics around in which communities the train would stop, in which communities we would have prevalence of theft and vandalism when a train has stopped, and whether you can deploy security sufficiently quickly to respond to it. Because Transnet is alone, they understand it. When you bring in a new player, it becomes a bit more complicated. But most worrisome for us as the regulator is around degraded mode of operation, what we call manual train authorizations. We believe it's reached endemic level, and as an industry, we do need to reflect on it and almost say this far and no more. It needs some interventions, it needs some commitments from the operators themselves. But when you bring it in the context of third-party operators, it becomes a significant risk that the regulator is worried about.
So I'd agree with you on that. Just talking about what ICASA has done in terms of changing the frequency, is this in relation to GSMR becoming obsolete and we're now putting in the FMR SC?
Absolutely.
Future Mobile Railway.
Communication system for
Yes.
rail. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So Transnet has made a submission to the regulator late last year around how they see them unfolding operations in that regard, and also how they make better use of the spare capacity in the fiber optic network. PRASA has done a lot of work as part of reviving their signaling system and
Which is GSMR based.
and their communications backbone, and they are making submissions to the regulator. The regulator is worried about interoperability, where the systems meet. But the industry as a whole, we need to move together as a country into how we migrate, the technologies we deploy, and how we bring the story together. So it is all related, and we are keeping a close eye on it as the regulator.
Are you going to put together perhaps the working group to make sure that there is a standard that's followed?
Our main point as the regulators around interoperability. So we don't necessarily prescribe to the level of technical specifications. We more around the concept of reducing the risk to as low as reasonably possible, and that whatever systems you deploy, they must be interoperable. Operators are free to choose, but it's within a context. You operate together with other players, and there must be a level of compatibility. In the market, yes, there would be standards. The International Union of Railways has some standards that they publish for leading operators in the world. We're adopting them in the African context. So there are standards that guide, but in the main, our point of intersection is around interoperability.
Okay. So there are some exciting things coming up in terms of the Rail Safety Regulator, since, we've got lots of, I think, technical things to communicate around, and that's exactly where the conference comes in.
Yes.
When's the conference? What are the highlights?
Last year we hosted the International Rail Safety Council in Cape Town.
Very successful, yes.
Yes, that one went very well. This year we go back to the local version. It's called the Annual Rail Safety Conference. We host it in Hazendal in the Western Cape from the 29th of September to the 2nd of October. It's 2 days of conferencing, a technical tour. We invite all operators, industry participants. Ours is a technical conference where we have various themes, technical material. Nominated managers are invited, those involved in rail operations, to get down into the nitty-gritty. And it allows the regulator as well, through the selection of topics, to influence the industry, to put our best foot forward as an industry, and let operators also come and show some of their best work as well.
Do you think with open access you're going to have a slightly different flavor?
Well, the technical elements in rail operations remain the same. We may touch some topics regarding open access, but I think our selection of topics is important in, once the new players on board, them understanding what the important themes are for the rail safety regulator in terms of safety, which standards we think were important, technology trends, and then world-leading benchmarks. So I think that's how we view it as the regulator.
And then this year you've added something different. When I was speaking to your chair, she was talking to me about the industry awards. It's a different role for the Rail Safety Regulator.
Yes, so the National Rail Policy has a theme called Rail Renaissance. And a renaissance essentially means a revolution, out with the old, in with the new. And us making a contribution to that as the rail safety regulator, we have to celebrate the industry. This industry, yes, is not where we want it to be, but there are green shoots. And we must celebrate the good things so that as we improve, we know where we come from and where we're going. On the 24th of October, at the Houghton Hotel in Johannesburg, we host our inaugural Industry Rail Awards. We have 12 categories. We invite everyone to visit our website. We're looking to put on a show. I think it will be a very good evening.
I think it'll be a fantastic evening, judging by your other events.
Thank you.
It's a good event. State of safety report, typically released during the conference. Will that be the same this year?
Yes. So last week of September, first week of October, we do our annual Rail Safety Conference in Cape Town. 24th of October, which is a Thursday, we do our Industry Rail Awards. That morning, we launch the State of Safety Report for the 2023-24 reporting period. We are currently finalizing it. The board is going to approve it very soon. I know the statistics, but we only really release them at that point, and we will share with operators, with the nation, the state of safety across the priority categories, the 5 that I mentioned, and also some of the trends we see in the industry, because it's important to know where we are in terms of railway safety, because we believe that safe railways are a good business case for railways, and railways are a mass mover. We move large volumes of freight, we move large volumes of passengers, but they must arrive to their destination in the condition with which they left. So safe railway operations are the business case for rail itself.
I know you can't tell me much about the state of safety report, but there are 2 areas that I'm interested in. Your report normally has some elements around productivity, so that's like an increase or decrease in what's being, not necessarily what's being railed, but the number of trains that are moving. Is there a positive trend without giving away the numbers?
So,
Post-COVID.
yes, so generally there is a more positive trend. Transnet has the freight logistics roadmap where they've made some commitments in terms of volumes they will move. In the year under review, there is a slight improvement from the previous financial year. PRASA has made a good leap forward in terms of the passenger volumes they've moved, but it's still far off their historical highs. But we believe that if they continue the momentum they showed in the 23-24 year, 24-25 will show a significant increase as well. Gautrain is doing quite well, but they haven't reached their pre-COVID numbers. You'll see an increase in productivity. They also deal, because of the portion of the market they service, they have to deal with the phenomenon of working from home.
Yes.
So even though passengers are back, passengers work from home, and sometimes they're at work, a lot of times they are not, by design. So Gautrain has that element that they must deal with. But yes, productivity is looking better, but not where we want it to be.
Right, so your closing remarks in terms of the news that I think was published yesterday, your opinion on Transnet now going under the Department of Transport.
Well, welcome to the family, the transport family. We look forward to having them. They are one of the major public entities. They are a major driver of the economy. When Transnet works, South Africa works. So hopefully now with them in the transport family, under the direct control of the Minister of Transport, there'll be greater collaboration between the state players while welcoming in the new players in line with the freight logistics plan.